I've been hiking for 10 years, had some amazing trips, had some miserable days and bought way too much gear along the way. Today I'll show you what I carry in my backpack with 10 years of hiking experience and what might be the smartest choice for you if you're new to all of this hiking and backpacking craziness. I've been using the Haglöf's Lim Arak 38 for about 12 months now, and I finally found the perfect backpack for my style of hiking. What I love about this backpack is that it's super minimalistic and doesn't have any random features I don't need. It has a roll top closure and no additional top compartment with pockets and pouches I don't need. With this roll top closure I can adjust the size of my backpack according to how much I pack. I also really like the carrying system, which is inspired by a trail running vest, which means that I can carry my backpack super tight with nothing bouncing around. And you've got these pouches for your phone, some snacks and your soft flask in the perfect spot, but I'll talk about my drinking system a little bit later. 38 liters is the perfect size for me if I go for a 2 or 3 day hiking trip. But if you're just starting out, I would recommend a slightly bigger backpack around 50 liters, and don't let the size and weight of your backpack be your main priority. In my first years of hiking, I carried a 65-liter backpack that weighed 20 kilograms through the mountains, and I was happy about every single piece of gear I brought. For some reason it has become super cool to carry the smallest and lightest pack, and a lot of YouTube videos make you feel like an absolute noob if you carry a big backpack. And yes, I'm sorry, I might be part of the problem here. Especially as a beginner, I would recommend to bring everything you feel you might need to feel comfortable out there. Well, maybe not everything. I would leave the Nintendo Switch and my mocha maker at home, but there's nothing worse than freezing, being hungry, feeling desperate or not getting sleep out there. Just figure out what are your essentials and what you might not need, but in the end, having a bigger or smaller pack is not a matter of skill, but more a matter of preference. Two backpacks that I would recommend that are a little bit bigger than mine are the Exped Lightning 45, which is super similar to my backpack, it's just a little bit bigger. Another backpack that I would consider a perfect all-around backpack that can be part of your adventures for years to come, but doesn't cost too much, is the 4-class MT900 UL 50+10 backpack from Decathlon. I also bring this rain cover in case of bad weather. The rain cover is also essential to protect your backpack from the wet ground. In my opinion, your sleeping system is by far the most important part of your outdoor gear. Having good night's sleep and being warm at night just makes or breaks your outdoor experience. I suffered for way too long because I didn't want to accept that I maybe need a mattress that actually fits my body and that a pillow is not a useless luxury item. Just to put this into perspective, my sleeping system alone takes up more space in my backpack than all the other stuff I bring. You might have a miserable day, but you will be able to push through, and as soon as you're cuddled up in your warm and cozy sleeping bag, everything will be alright. But freezing through 12 hours of darkness with back pain and not getting a single minute of sleep is hell, and you will never ever want to sleep in a tent again. It will just ruin your whole backpacking experience. The foundation of your sleeping system is your sleeping pad. First of all, it needs to be comfy and it needs to be big enough for your body. But your sleeping pad is also super important to keep you warm at night. Even more important than your sleeping bag, because you will lose most of your temperature to the cold ground you're laying on. My sleeping pad is the Exped Dura 6R in large and wide. This is the you don't need to worry about anything sleeping mattress, but it might be a bit overkill. It's on the pricey side and it's quite large. For me though, it's 100% worth it. It's 65 centimeters wide and 197 centimeters long, which makes it an absolute king-size bed for hiking, and I'm finally getting good night's sleep when I'm out in nature. On top of that, it's a 4-season pad, which means it will also keep me warm in winter. If you're not camping in winter, you can go for a cheaper and lighter mattress, for example the Exped Dura 3R or the 4-class MT900 Air from Decathlon. I really love the Decathlon outdoor equipment, but in this case I paid the extra for the Exped mat because they provide a 10-year warranty, and with these ultralight inflatable pads, it just seemed like a smart decision to me. My sleeping bag is the Mountain Equipment Firelight. I bought this one used on eBay and I really love it. It's just super lightweight, packs down, super small, is comfy and keeps me warm. It's a down sleeping bag, which means it keeps me extra warm and is extra lightweight, but you need to keep it dry in order for it to keep its insulating values. Nevertheless, I would always recommend a down sleeping bag. Regarding your sleeping bag, I would never trust the numbers and the ratings on these bags and always go for a sleeping bag that seems a little bit overkill. My sleeping bag, for example, has a comfort rating of -2 degrees centigrade and it is just not comfortable to sleep in this bag at -2 degrees. I did it and I had to wear all my layers and I was still freezing a little bit and had a miserable night. Last but not least, I'm bringing an inflatable pillow, and this little piece of gear has been a game changer for me. I used the packaging of my sleeping bag as a pillow for way too long. I stuffed my puffer jacket inside, but it's just not comfortable. And as soon as you get cold and want to wear your puffer jacket, you need to sacrifice your pillow. I know this video packs a lot of information and might be a bit overwhelming, but I wanted to be as detailed and helpful as possible. If you have got any questions or don't know which piece of gear might be the best for you, please feel free to contact me. Just write me an email, send me a DM on Instagram, or just quickly write your questions down here in the comment sections. All my contact details are linked down below in the info box. My tent is the 4-class MT900 trekking pole tent minimal edition from Decathlon. I use it because it just packs down super small, is lightweight, and it keeps me protected even in really bad weather and heavy storms, and that's all I need from a tent. It's quite a special tent because you use your trekking poles as your tent poles, which obviously saves a lot of weight, but it also has got its downsides. This is not a freestanding tent, which means you need to stake it down, which can be a massive problem if you're trying to camp on rocks or in sand. As a beginner, I would always recommend a freestanding tent because there's just one thing less that can go wrong on your trip. Finding a good camp spot might be one of the hardest parts of hiking. And with a freestanding tent, as long as you're not in the middle of a swamp, you can basically just throw it anywhere and you've got a reliable shelter straight away. Of course, it's wise to stake them down as well, but in case of an emergency, they work just fine. One great value freestanding tent that is quite similar to my tent is the 4-class MT900 dome tent from Decathlon. And another classic is the MSR Huba Huba. I always go for the one-person version just to save a little bit on size and weight, but I know for a lot of people that these tents feel quite claustrophobic, and yes, they can be a little bit like a coffin. So if you don't feel comfortable in small spaces, maybe go for the two-person version. The best case scenario would be to go into a shop, try them out, see how you feel, because once again, if you can't get sleep because you feel trapped, your trip will be miserable. As fuel, I always use gas. It's the most convenient in my opinion, and it just works. I always bring 230 grams of gas, even if I just go out for 1 or 2 nights. Most people just bring 100 grams just to save on size and weight a little bit. And I guess it would be enough in most cases, but I just don't want to worry about things all the time. I love to drink a cup of tea or a cup of coffee whenever I feel like it, because a hot drink out in the mountains is just the best. And I simply don't want to constantly be thinking about if I'm still allowed to treat myself with a hot drink. My stove is the Soto Amicus, which is more on the expensive side. I used a lot of the cheap stoves and they were great. I just found out that the more expensive ones, and especially this one, work way better in windy conditions. This one here also has got a built-in igniter, which is super practical, and yes, maybe I managed to forget a lighter on one of my trips and I was screwed. My pot is the Soto New River pot. It comes with a lid and I would always recommend to use a lid because you just save a lot of fuel and your water will boil way quicker. The main reason I chose this pot is because my gas canister just fits perfectly inside, especially when I put it inside of this so-called sock. It protects the pot and it's just the perfect combination. Satisfying, right? And this sock also has got a little pouch for a lighter because I always bring a lighter as a backup. I also bring this stand for my gas canister. It just makes the whole cooking setup way more stable because you don't want all of the food you carry through the mountains for days to end up on the forest floor. Sorry, Oleg. And a foldable spork. One last cool cooking gadget I wanted to show you is this little device from Camping Moon. I don't bring it on my trips, but it allows me to transfer gas from one canister to the other back at home. As you almost never finish a canister on a trip, you end up with a lot of half-filled gas cans that you can't take on the next trip. This small, super easy to use and cheap piece of gear is the perfect solution. I was quite skeptical at the beginning, but as long as you follow the instructions, it just works perfectly. Speaking of shoes, I like to be light and quick, which is why I don't use classical hiking boots anymore. I always use trail runners instead. This here are the North Face Vective Endurance 3 and I just love these shoes. They are comfy, they are lightweight and I feel protected in them. My feet almost never feel tired anymore, even after a very long day of hiking. I started out in these very heavy and stiff hiking boots and my feet were tired almost every night, and hiking in trail runners just really changed hiking for me. My water system has become quite minimalistic over the years. I only bring one soft flask with an integrated water filter. This here is the Salomon XA filter system. There is a similar one from Katadyn called Be Free. The idea of these systems is to put the unfiltered water straight into the soft flask and drink through the filter. If you're not a fan of soft flasks, you can buy a similar system for your Nalgene water bottle, or you can use the Sawyer Micro Squeeze, which you can screw on a regular water bottle. The most important piece of safety equipment is your smartphone. Being able to call for help is just crucial. And if you plan to hike somewhere where you're not certain about cell connection, you might need something like this. This here is the Garmin InReach Mini 2. It's a GPS communicator, so it will even work on the remotest areas on this planet. You can call for help and this device will automatically connect you to the nearest rescue station, but you can also send text messages with your friends and family back at home, and you can get a weather report no matter where you are, which is also very crucial. I never needed this device, but I feel way better now whenever I go outside, and it also gives my loved ones back at home a peace of mind. I also bring a first aid kit. There's not too much inside of that because all of the stuff can't help me if I don't know how to use it. And in serious trouble, I would always call for help, and my first aid kit is only there to keep me alive until help arrives. I also have some plasters, some disinfection and some wound treatment so that I can treat a blister or a small cut, as they can also become a reason you have to quit your trip if they get infected. Tweezers mainly for ticks and small splinters, medical scissors and some tape. One bonus tip that might be an unpopular opinion, but it will keep you safe out there: just don't bring a knife. You will not need it, and if you bring it, you will start doing stupid stuff with it because you're bored. I never used a knife on my trips and I never missed it. If you need to cut anything for some reason, your medical scissors will do just fine. I navigate on my phone and I stopped bringing a map. I use the app Gaia GPS to plan my trip at home, and then I download all the data on my phone and I can navigate without needing cell service, and I've got everything I need inside of my little phone. For me, navigating on the phone is just so much better because I always know exactly where I am. I always know exactly in which direction I'm heading. I know exactly how much distance I already traveled and how much distance there's left to go, and I also know how much elevation there's left to climb. With a map it's always kind of a guessing game, and on my first trips when I still used the map I basically always underestimated the distance and the elevation I had to climb. As I also own a GPS watch from running, I always bring it because I use my GPS watch for tracking, so I don't have to track my distance on my phone, which saves a little bit of battery. Before we break down my clothes, let's quickly go to all of the other stuff I carry inside of my backpack. Hiking poles. I started using them a few years back. I always was hesitant, mainly because I was embarrassed using them and I felt like an old grandpa on the trail. But I must say, you hike faster with poles, save a lot of energy, are way safer, especially uphill, downhill or when crossing rivers, and it distributes the load away from your legs towards your upper body a bit, which is good. Furthermore, I need them to pitch my trekking pole tent. Seating pad. This thing is a no-brainer, it's cheap, weighs nothing, and it's so luxurious to sit on a soft, warm and dry pad whenever you want to. Power bank, obvious one to charge my phone and my camera batteries. A headlamp. Toilet paper, always bring more than you think you'll ever need. I keep it in this waterproof zipper bag, and if you pull out the paper roll in the middle, you can use it like a dispenser. Deodorant, sunscreen, toothbrush, toothpaste and a microfiber towel. I always try to go for a swim or wash myself in a river every morning and every evening because it just makes me feel so much better. And last but not least, I bring a small little trash bag. As a shirt I wear the sun hoodie from the North Face. It is called Summer Light Range Sun Hoodie. It is super comfy and lightweight, and it also protects me from the sun, as sun hoodies have an extra built-in UV protection. I prefer a long sleeve as it again protects me from the sun and mosquitoes, and whenever it gets too hot I can just roll up the sleeves. The same goes for the hoodie, sun protection, but it can also keep me warm and protect me from wind and rain. As a warm layer I bring this puffer jacket from Hugloves. It is called Spire Mimic Hood and it's filled with synthetic material, which means that it will also keep me warm when it's soaking wet. I basically always hike in long trousers, mainly because they keep me protected from mosquitoes and ticks. I wear the Hugloves Slim Fuse pants as they are super light and I don't need a lot of pockets. I don't carry anything inside my pants besides maybe my phone. I also like these pants because they are tight around the ankles, which again helps with the ticks, but also prevents the pants from getting wet and dirty from the ground. Next up is my rain jacket, again light and simple, the Hugloves Slim Proof Rain Jacket. And yes, I'm a big fan of the Hugloves Slim series. I also bring super light shorts. These here are running shorts from Odlo, 0 weight, 5 inch, and as the name suggests, they weigh nothing. I like to have them in case I get too warm during hiking, and I also use them as swim pants. Regarding my base layer, I'm a big fan of merino wool as it doesn't stink and it dries quickly. Merino underpants, merino undershirt and merino socks. I also bring long merino underpants in case it gets cold or I need something dry and warm for the night. Depending on the weather, I might also bring this lightweight fleece from Decathlon as an additional layer. It also doubles as a super comfy pyjama in combination with my long merino underpants. I always bring a cap. It protects me from the sun, but I especially love caps in bad conditions as you can wear them underneath your hoodie, as it prevents the hood from sticking to your face and protects you from raindrops in your face. Mine is the Kalenji running cap from Decathlon. My sunglasses are from Scirocco and the model is called Ibiza. I bring a buff as I can use it as a balaclava when it gets cold, and if it gets really bad it can also protect my face from mosquitoes. What I will try for the first time this year is another small luxury item, hiking sandals. Not actually to hike in them, but to use them as camp shoes. It's just such a nice feeling to get out of your shoes at camp, and I always used to run around camp barefooted, which can be quite dangerous and you can super easily hurt your feet. So this year I'm trying out hiking sandals. They will also be super nice if I want to go for a swim or need to cross a river and whenever I need to go to toilet at night. And again, if you are confused or need any help, contact me on Instagram, write me an email or ask your comment down below in the comment section. And please don't think that you need all of this to get started with hiking. This is just what I have got after 10 years of hiking experience. Just go outside, have fun, make some mistakes along the way, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye.